girl. I was trying to wait for her. Now she goes on.
Sources close to royal staff say Camilla's been quietly keeping receipts for years. Not just cute old love notes or date night memories. We're talking serious stuff. Letters, voice recordings, and even private remarks from the late Queen Elizabeth herself. Insiders say Camilla held on to everything. She got tapes of Charles venting about royal pressures, including moments where he questioned his place in the firm, made harsh comments about his own son William, and even criticized royal duties that he once claimed were pointless tradition. That's not something the palace would want floating around. Reports say Camilla caught Charles in deeply personal conversations about Diana, moments where he allegedly broke down, blaming the marriage on family pressure and saying things like he never wanted to go through with it in the first place. Some versions even claim he said the only reason he stayed so long was fear of public backlash. Imagine that leaking, not just disrespect to Diana, but total betrayal of the palace's version of events. And that's not all. Palace insiders say Camilla may even have access to confidential health documents. During stressful periods, especially after the Diana fallout and before his official ascension, Charles was rumored to have suffered from panic episodes and depressive breakdowns. Now, of course, there's nothing shameful about that, but the royal family has always worked overtime to hide any sign of emotional weakness from the public. And if Camilla has proof that Charles was mentally and emotionally unfit to lead during key moments, that changes everything.
It's lovely
it was
to
quite
see
a
you.
frosty journey.
I bet it
Yes,
was.
sorry, we're a bit late, I'm afraid.
Perfectly okay. How's His Majesty?
He's fine, thank you very much.
Thank
Looking
you.
forward to getting back to work.
Absolutely. Thank you very much.
According to some sources, Camilla used those moments to build quiet influence. She wasn't just the partner comforting him, she was the one listening, documenting, and storing. So now, even as queen consort, she's holding on to files that would be politically and personally explosive if exposed. And the way she's positioned herself so strongly beside Charles, it's not by accident. But here's the twist. The queen knew, and according to palace staff, she warned Charles before her passing. People forget, Queen Elizabeth wasn't naive. In her final years, she was watching everything. According to royal aides, she started becoming concerned about how much control Camilla had over her son. Rumors suggest the queen pulled Charles aside and told him to be cautious, not just as a personal warning, but as a leader. Some say she told him flat out, "You're walking into something you won't be able to walk out of." Apparently, the queen even told William about it. There were private conversations, never documented, but always remembered, where she reportedly questioned whether Camilla had too much access, too much sway. And this was long before Charles officially became king. Even when she gave her public blessing for Camilla to become queen consort, insiders claim it was more of a calculated move than a heartfelt decision. She wanted to protect the institution, not necessarily crown Camilla out of affection. One royal insider said, "She's always known more than she lets on." That line has been repeated quietly behind palace doors, especially as some of these alleged recordings and letters start to pop up in hush-hush conversations among senior aides. And if you think the late queen was worried, wait till you hear what William's been saying behind palace doors. Because when it comes to William and Camilla, let's just say there's no warm bond there. Their relationship has always been kind of cold, but recently it's turned icy.
We've all grown up, differently to our other generations, and I very much feel if I can do it myself, I want to do it myself. And there are times when you can't do it yourself and the system takes over, or it's appropriate to do things differently.
According to people close to the situation, William's been trying to piece everything together, not just because he doesn't trust Camilla, but because he suspects she's actively hiding information from the rest of the family. Apparently, he's been quietly speaking to longtime staffers, looking through old notes, and asking pointed questions about what Camilla might be sitting on. And the word is, he's not doing this just as a son. He's doing it as the future king. Some reports even say William warned Charles directly. He's allegedly said to more than one close advisor that he believes Camilla is playing the long game and that his father might already be in too deep. Now, here's where it gets serious. William is considering whether the monarchy can survive as is if Camilla continues to pull string. He's not just worried about public image, he's worried about control, succession, and legacy. He's seen how quickly public support can shift, and he knows one good scandal can undo years of royal PR. But even William may be too late, because Camilla's grip started long before Charles ever wore the crown. Let's rewind for a second, back to the original royal mess that shook the monarchy: Charles, Diana, and Camilla. Here, because Camilla's rise from the so-called other woman to queen consort didn't just happen overnight. Back when Diana was still alive, Camilla wasn't just some background character. Charles allegedly leaned on her for decision-making, venting about the pressures of his royal role, and complaining about how he was being treated by the family. Now fast forward to the years after Diana's tragic passing, that's when Camilla's influence really grew. She didn't make a dramatic entrance. She stayed in the background, slowly becoming more visible in Charles's life, but never trying to steal the spotlight. Palace staff started noticing a shift. Charles's schedule, his appearances, even his private downtime, everything began to revolve around Camilla's comfort. If she didn't approve, it wouldn't have happened. That's when staff nicknamed her the Shadow Queen. Not in a fun or affectionate way, but because she seemed to be operating from the sidelines while calling the shot. What's even more revealing is how Charles started changing. According to people close to the situation, he became more isolated from his sons, more passive in decision-making, and oddly dependent on Camilla's input, even for things that didn't really involve her. Some former staff have described moments where Charles would delay important decisions just to see what Camilla thinks. Others claim she made him feel guilty, constantly reminding him of how she waited for him, how she was vilified for loving him, and how no one else would truly understand the pressure he was under. It wasn't loud control, it was quiet manipulation, emotional leverage, and over time, that turned into actual power. And now that she's queen, the shadows are getting darker and the secret's more dangerous, because now it's not just about influence, it's about what Camilla allegedly has locked away. We're talking about real receipts, not rumors, but actual files that some insiders say could cause serious damage if they ever saw the light of day. There are whispers that she's in possession of audio recordings where Charles mocked royal customs, called some traditions pointless pageantry, and even criticized specific senior staff. In one alleged clip, he complained that being king would be a burden, not a privilege. That's not exactly the message the monarchy wants floating around. But it gets worse. Some say Charles confided in Camilla about financial mismanagement within royal estates, suggesting certain royal funds were redirected in ways that wouldn't sit well with taxpayers if exposed. Nothing formally illegal, but definitely questionable. And then there's the bombshell: therapy notes. It's rumored that after Diana's death, Charles saw a private therapist, and that Camilla somehow ended up with access to some of those records, or at least the gist of what was shared. These included deeply personal details about his regrets, his breakdowns, and his feelings of failure as a father. That kind of vulnerability, if made public, could totally reshape how people see him as a monarch. But here's the real kicker. Some insiders say Charles once told Camilla he didn't feel cut out for the crown, and even talked about stepping aside for William. Instead of calming him down, Camilla allegedly encouraged it, not because she wanted him to quit, but because she wanted to know exactly where his head was. But here's where it gets messy. Because Camilla may not just be keeping Charles in check, she may be using Harry and Meghan as insurance.
The fine marriage is our cultural currency representing our overall cultural values, including an official certifications for your title.
Now this is wild. Remember when Meghan blamed Camilla for leaking stories to the press? Well, some palace insiders say that's not the whole picture. Behind the scenes, there may have been a secret understanding between them. According to a few quiet sources, Camilla allegedly reached out to Meghan privately, offering advice on how to manage Charles and deal with the royal system, not as enemies, but as two women navigating the same institution. Apparently, Camilla even warned Meghan about certain people inside the palace who can't be trusted, and may have coached her on how to avoid internal sabotage. That's not the Camilla we heard in the tabloids, right? And that's where strategy begins. Some believe Camilla saw Meghan's controversy as useful, a distraction that kept the media focused on the Sussex drama, while she quietly built her own power from within. Every time Harry and Meghan made headlines, it pulled heat away from her, and people think she knew exactly how to use that. There's even a theory that Camilla and Meghan made a subtle deal. Camilla keeps certain things about Meghan's past out of the press, and in return, Meghan stays quiet about what she knows about Camilla and Charles's private lives. Not a written pact, obviously, but a mutual understanding. And in the middle of all this quiet chaos, King Charles is crumbling behind palace walls.
Thank you very much. I'm going to turn my back.
Seriously. So do you all learn how to do it? We know how they're different.
Behind the polished appearances and tightly controlled photo ops, King Charles is not doing well. While the palace puts out carefully worded updates about his ongoing treatment and light duties, insiders are saying something very different. People close to the situation claim Charles' health issues are far more serious than what's being publicly shared. Yes, he's undergoing treatment, but the bigger concern is how he's mentally handling everything around him. Staffers who've been with him for decades say they've never seen him like this before. He's described as anxious, reactive, and oddly withdrawn during key moments. One longtime aide said Charles will cancel meetings last minute or stall on decisions for days unless Camilla signs off first. Another claimed he won't even respond to certain royal family members directly anymore, not unless Camilla approves the conversation. That's not just stress, that's dependence. And it's got palace insiders seriously worried. Some even describe him as paranoid. Allegedly, he's begun limiting how much time he spends alone with specific aides, cutting off access without clear explanations, and leaning heavily on Camilla for everything from scheduling to speeches. Multiple sources say he's become convinced that leaks are coming from inside the palace, and rather than investigate, he just retreats further under Camilla's wing. What do y'all think? Is Camilla protecting the crown or playing queen of her own empire? Let's hear your royal hot takes in the comments.